Well, it's always an exciting time of the year to get going with real practice. Obviously, times have changed. We have the guys in the spring, we have the guys in the summer, we have the guys in the fall, and we've had some, I call them mini practices. You kind of slowly but surely build up, but now it's the real stuff. But you still have 6 weeks. I was talking, you talk to older coaches that are out of the business, and when does practice start? October 15th. Oh, no, it doesn't start. It starts 6 weeks before. And so it's a little bit different, but at the same time, it's still, there's some excitement there. We're going to have an open practice, get some people in the stands, hopefully Saturday before the football game. One, to, get our guys out in front of people, but also, for our people, our fans, to get to know who our players are. So, we've had, the times I've met with you guys or talked to you, we had a great spring, worked very hard on offense, continue to improve their weaknesses. The summer, it was kind of a combination, working on your offensive part of your game, but also, it was important with 5 new guys to build some chemistry, to build some togetherness. I think if you ask any member on our staff, the first thing when you say, what's the best thing about our team, is that they get along. They enjoy each other. And I don't know why, to be honest. I wish it was some magical thing I did, but they just are, even the new guys. You got 3 older guys that joined us, and Mark Ish and Marquise, and they just jumped in like they've been here forever, and they're friends with everybody. So that was kind of the summer, and a little building some, starting to build some toughness. Our big theme was grit. Trying for greatness, representing K-State, intensity and toughness and togetherness. And, we've used that theme throughout the summer into the fall. We did go through a little bit of a boot camp last week with the program, and can't say enough about that. I had not really done anything like that before. We've had some different, events with our strength coaches put together, and competitions and strongman things. But this was with, 2 former Marines that came in. I couldn't be more happy with what happened. Our big thing with that was, the toughness part, but also the details and discipline of the drills they put them through. And then probably most importantly, I wanted to have them come together as a group and deal with tough times. And when you're in the pool and you got to take your sweatshirt off and put it back on and help your teammates, and you don't know how to swim, that was a really tough thing for those guys to do. So it really worked out well. I couldn't be more happy with how the guys reacted to us, building some leadership, finding out who the leaders were, and who stepped up to help their teammates. So, now it's real practice, and, starting to put your concepts in your 5-on-5 and get that conditioning. But we got to go a ways to go. We got October 23rd. We are scrimmaging. That'll be our first opportunity. We'll actually have an open scrimmage before the Iowa State football game. Then the 23rd, we have a scrimmage against the opponent. And then we have our first exhibition game. So we got a ways to go, but excited to have the opportunity, excited about the group.
Thank you, Coach. I'll take our first question from Kellis Robinette.
Bruce, good to see you again.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten to ask you this yet. What do you think of the new look Big 12? How good is it going to be in basketball once those 4 new schools come in?
Well, I'm thrilled with, what happened, the scenario that happened. I think we all, a few weeks ago, a month ago, it was limbo, and, were we the 8 gonna stay together? I didn't know. You guys might know more than me, but, we had talked, Gene Taylor's met with us. I talked to Casey Scott every week just to kind of, keep feedback and see if we can help. But, our 8 stuck together, and we added a good group. Obviously, football wise, it really looks good now with BYU and Cincinnati, having a great years in football. Obviously, I think the important thing was the media part and the population base. You're getting 4 schools that have great following, that come from media outlets that we need, for our next TV contract. So I don't like change. I love where our league was. I've always said, they said, what's the best league? I did that Coach versus Cancer. It's the Big 12. It's not even, it's a fact. And in basketball, especially, we've been so good, and I didn't like the change, but, life is about change and flexibility and dealing with new things. And, as I said, to start the scenario to get those teams is a positive thing.
So you think the Big 12 will still be the best conference around in hoops?
I think you got some pretty good basketball teams too. BYU has had success, been in the NCAA tournament. Obviously, Cincinnati has had really good success. You had Houston in the Final Four. If you look at it, we got 2 Final Four teams in our league, Baylor and Houston. So that part is good. And then Central Florida, they've had a pretty good run, and they were in the NCAA a few years ago, played Duke in that crazy game, and I think everybody watched, and I think it's good. I think, and the thing is, I say all the time, how many times have Oklahoma and Texas won the Big 12 basketball in the last 10 years? I think it's pretty easy answer. So, and they've been great. What Lon did at Oklahoma, every year they were good. Obviously, Texas is shocking, had a good run, won the tournament last year, but we still got the who's won the Big 12? Kansas, K-State, Texas Tech, Baylor. Those schools are all there. We get Oklahoma State had the good run. You still got good basketball schools. So it's I think we're in good shape.
And if you had to pick one guy, who would you say was the surprise of the summer from your team?
I think right now, maybe overall, it might be Mark Smith. Just when I'm talking leadership, being a good teammate, happy, working hard. And we got a lot of guys. It's hard for me to single anybody out. As I said before, all the newcomers have been very, very, receptive. They've jumped in, trusting and want to work. But I didn't know with Mark being in 2 different programs, being a little older, I just didn't know, to be honest. And I told him that the other day. I met with him. I just said, "Are you always happy?" I asked Conzo last night, was he always happy all the time? So he comes every day with a great attitude and a smile on his face and wants to get better. So I guess if there's one player, I guess, he'd be the guy.
Thanks, Bruce.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go to Michael in just a second, but if you guys have a question, just raise the hand up in Zoom and I'll make sure to get to you. Next question to Michael Goins.
Hi, Bruce, good morning. With your bigs this year, what kind of progress did you need from them in the offseason, and especially Davion Bradford?
Well, I think the big thing was Casey getting them healthy, and we just met as a staff, and that's why I came on a little late. Casey's made some stride. He's in getting where he's feels good. I don't know if he's ever going to get where he was, but he's making some strides and getting a little healthier. Davion, it's just getting stronger and better condition. And he's had, he's made some strides with it. We'd like more. I think he wants more. This next 6 weeks will be really key for him. But if we can have him and Casey healthy, I think you got a pretty good 1-2 punch. Carlton still is recovering from his procedure in late last spring. Starting to get him back. Logan gives us another big guy. He's got, when you talk about surprises, I think he's done well. I think he's made as much improvement as anybody over the summer. So we're positive about him. And the one thing I should mention it. Surrey obviously had a severe injury this fall. He had surgery a couple weeks ago or 10 days ago. He's going to miss the season. So it leaves our numbers with big guys a little bit low with him until Carlton gets back. We're just hoping those main two guys continue to stay in good shape and stay in good health and see if we can get Logan better and understanding what's going on. And then, I guess a bonus would be getting Carlton back and going, because he, with his shooting ability, his length, he could give us something that the other guys don't give us.
You mentioned a few of them there. It seems your offense works better with a quality stretch four. Who do you see fitting into those roles this season?
Well, it's just been a perfect scenario, for us getting a guy that, I think everyone's offense works better if your forward can do guard things and has some length. And I think Ish has, he's got length. He's a little taller than I even thought he'd be. As I said, great attitude, happy, works hard, been a really good teammate. He can really shoot the basketball, and his is kind of figuring out how do I get open shots in the offense, and when's a good time to shoot, plus to do some of the other things. I think that's our thing with him. But he's been good for us. Behind that, I think you're going to end up playing four perimeter guys. Though our best players are perimeter guys, and from Nigel and Marquise to Selton and Mike and Mark, to Luke and then Max coming back from surgery. I think you have along with Ish, you have some really good perimeter guys that can do some things. And what is modern basketball? It's small ball, and where do we have success? At the end of the last year's small ball, I think we added Ish to that mix, and we can play small ball with somebody with some size, and then we could come at people with four little guys, and I think a little more depth. Obviously, if we stay healthy with those guards, and I hope we can get after people and use Selton's ball pressure, and Marquise can get into people. Mark has been a surprise for me on his athleticism. He's got the big body, he's strong, and then we know Mike and Luke and Nigel have been a year. Mike obviously been with us a long time, but the other two a little better, a year into our defense, have better understanding.
Thank you, Bruce.
Next question to Greg Palmero.
Coach, talking about Luke, he obviously had a real rough go of it last year. And how do you kind of evaluate where he is at this point and being healthy and getting a full year into your program? Well,
he is healthy, and he did have a tough go of it. I think 2 contact tracings, I think COVID, the foot injury, the surgery, putting him in against Texas with about 5 days of practice. But, he just quietly does his job, and great support from his parents, and is starting to make some shots. And so for me, the biggest surprise last year was his defense. And that's what I really worried about. But he's really kind of, he stops people. I don't know if you remember last year in that Big 12 game, they kept trying to ISO Davion Mitchell on a switch on Luke, and Luke kept standing him up. And, that he's taking a little bit of pride in. He's got that, he chests people. Maybe they're not the quickest, but he's got some smarts on defense, and he moves his feet really well, and he'll use his body. So he can give us that, small ball forward. Now it's just making some shots, and part of it last year, him trying to make shots. I said many times we put him in a tough situation, no practice. and putting him in the Big 12. Oh, you're going to play against a team that got 4 players drafted in the NBA draft, and you practiced 5 times in 4 months. And, but again, he kept a smile on his face, kept coming back, got better. And I think that'll, he's just going to kind of be our X factor, quiet guy that just does his job every day.
And then lastly, on Bradford, I know he was one of your pleasant surprises last fall, being in a position to play how he did as a freshman. In addition to the health factor, what does he have to do to make that jump from freshman to sophomore year?
Again, I said before, just the strength, a little better condition, the strength so his leg, gets stronger. He's had a quad injury knee type thing since he was in high school that we just need to get it stronger and put as least pressure on that leg as possible. So, and then where he can maybe get a little more explosive with his jumping, and he wants to step out, and he's worked on the little Sigma move in the post. He's worked on that little 12-footer. All guys want to advance their game, and that's fine. But we also got to advance the things that he does well and what he did for us. And obviously the last game against Baylor was one of his best games, or maybe the best, against a quality, obviously a national championship, pretty good quality opponent. So, now can he have that drive and push to continue to do that type of thing on a consistent basis? I guess one word I would use for him, if you ask what does he need to do to improve, be consistent. And that, give that consistent out production every game.
Thanks, Coach.
Next question to Scott Fritchen.
Hey, Bruce, how are you today?
Congrats.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I'm writing for the K-State Athletic Department now. I'm really excited about it. I wanted to write a story about the program because I know it's been around. They kind of tour around. First off, maybe who recommended the program to you? Who do you hear from it?
Well, they've been, they contact us all the time, and it is, it's you have the time to do it. Drew Spiro, when he was at Iowa as a grad assistant, they used them. He thought it was pretty positive. Coach Snyder did use them his last year. We kind of checked around, or our strength coach kind of checked around with some of their people. Everyone was real positive. And then last year during COVID, it's kind of ironic. Eric, who runs it, is from Connecticut, and he had contacted us. And then Mike McGurl's old high school coach called me and said, "Hey, Eric does this. He'd love to Zoom with your guys." And, just everyone was looking for something to help your guys and through tough times. So he came on and Zoomed with us. Unbelievable presentation. What he's done, his story about losing his soldiers that were under him in a helicopter crash. And, he had some of the guys, miraculously survived. His commitment to his soldiers' kids, and raising money through the program, also through Ironman competitions, getting sponsors, climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, all these different things that he does. And all the money goes to his soldiers' children so they can go to college and have a good upbringing. So it's a pretty cool story. And I went to Casey Scott and I said, I know it costs a lot, but I think it would be good for our guys. And we put a lot of things on hold the last year, and he okayed it. If he was kind of dependent on me, I thought, and again, I thought it was excellent. And our their two representatives with us that were here were Mac and Fred, and did an unbelievable job. And, their evaluation of our guys was unbelievable. Their feedback, they spent 2 hours with us Friday morning as a staff, just helping us with some ideas to help the players. and then they've already contacted our guys. So it's they do a good job. It was definitely worth it.
Well, second question. I saw a little bit of video. I think it was of Max addressing your team in the team meeting room, the theater room, and he was asking who are going to be the leaders.
Yeah.
In your estimation, who are the leaders? Maybe who emerged from that?
Well, I think the thing they talked about, one of the most important things is we got to have great teammates first. And how do you do that? You set the example. I think that starts with Mike McGurl. It starts with, the guys that had success last year, your Nigels and Seltons, understand what we want on a daily basis. That's important. And then who is going to hold people accountable? That's their next thing. And that's where the leadership really comes in play. And they flat out asked our guys who likes holding people accountable. It's not an easy thing to do. And there were a lot of guys that raised their hands. So I do not like to do that, and I'm not comfortable with it. So I think I would say Mark Smith jumped out. They gave us an evaluation after it was over. They thought Mark Smith was the best leader from their 2 days. And I've said to you guys, somebody asked me early, who's been the biggest surprise? I think Mark is taken on that a little bit of that role. Not that that's not to diminish Mike or anyone, Nigel or anyone else, because they still are leaders in some way. They also talk about first row of command, second row of command, and you got to have your first row. And then, who's going to be next? And that's where I think we can surely do that. Selton's one of the guys that does the verbal part. And then I think, I think if you ask the coaches who's the best teammate on our team, and I've shared this with you guys before, it's been Davion. He every day he's there to help you. He's the one when Selton's, sitting there crying, he's wiping his tears. And, so it's, so we got a good mixture, but I think if you pick one guy right now, it may be Mark Smith, but we'll see more as practice goes on.
Thank you, Bruce.
Okay. Any other questions for Coach before we let him go? Oh, two more. Okay, let's go with Michael Goins again.
Bruce, how would you summarize Nigel Pack's potential and what's he got to do to get there?
Well, he obviously had a really good freshman year. I'm still disappointed that he didn't get acknowledged in the Big 12, but I think it gave a little motivation going into that Big 12 tournament, and had 2 unbelievable games to finish the year. We were talking with the Baylor coaches and over the summer recruiting, and Davion Mitchell and Jared and and Butler and Teague, they had their way with a lot of people, and they said that the one guy they were always mad that they couldn't get the turnover was Nigel. And you look at his assist turnover ratio, it's pretty impressive for a freshman. So I think just a little more confidence, his mojo, feeling good about himself, talking a little more, becoming a little better on defense. And then I get a little bit of, I use a word I probably can't use on media, but, get a little stuff to his game, add to his game, a little step back, make some plays with contact at the end of the shot clock. Obviously he can shoot. We did a shooting drill the other day that I got from Coach Beeline, and he shattered that drill. And I text Coach Beeline after, and he said, "Man, that's some of the best numbers I've ever seen." And he said he's had some pretty good shooters through the years. So those are the things that we know he'll do, and he's consistent with. But just kind of add to the game, add a little moxie, a little confidence, a little talk. I think that if we can do that and be a little better defensively, we'll have a special, consistent player.
And you mentioned qualities of being a good teammate. Does Mike McGurl fit that profile of personality that can take a reduced role, reduced minutes, that kind of thing?
And it's one thing we've talked to all of them about, because a lot of them are going to have probably a few less minutes, but can you be more productive? Can you be more efficient in your minutes? And because you're a little more rested, are you going to be better also? So we've talked to Mike about that, and there's no doubt Mike's a great teammate. As soon as the program was over, Mike was text all the coaches and just said, thank you for doing it. I thought it was big time. And here, this is a fifth-year guy. This is a guy that's in his, he's been through it, been through the wars, but man, he was so appreciative. And I think we all told him, to the coach, that, please take advantage of the opportunity, enjoy it, make the most out of it. You know how special K-State is. Be grateful for this opportunity and make the most. And I'm pretty sure he will. He's still, and again, I haven't said he's not the leader, but I think, as they said, you need good teams have multiple leaders, and I hope that Mike is in that group, because if he is, he's older, more mature, he's been through it. He's got, just get a little more consistent numbers and be a little more efficient.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Next question to Ryan Gilbert.
Hey, Coach. What does Curtis Kelly and also Zach Price bring to your team as GAs?
Well, it's always good to have a former guy come back, and this is I didn't coach Curtis, but he did come back off and on. He worked camp. I love from day one his enthusiasm, his love for the game, his passion for the game. He comes every day with a smile, with some energy. He's always talking to the players, encouraging, and obviously he's a guy that had success, played overseas, played professional basketball for a long time. So I hope they're willing to listen to him. He's got a good temperament. And so I'm so happy. I'd love to always have all players back, but and then Zach, a little older guy that's been, assistant coach for a very good coach, and Coach Fritz, and came through, Coach Weiberg, played Coach Weiberg at Missouri Western, and been around good people. And so he brings a little more maturity for us, and somebody a little older, and not afraid to get his, hands dirty and do some of the little things that need to be done. So excited about that, having those guys, proud of our guys that, we're here. And, we're really proud too. With somebody brought it up to us, we're 11 for 11. Our grad assistants have all graduated, got their master's degree. I know Shane put that diploma up in his office, and he's proud of it. Jordan getting on now with the, really positive for him to get on with the Lakers, J.O., and have that opportunity as a interim or an intern. And so hopefully it, paid some dividends for those guys, and he got his diploma also.
Next question to Ryan Black.
Hey, Bruce, I just want to go back to Siri for a second. Prior to this injury he had, how much progress had he shown since kind of the end of last season?
Well, that's the sad part. He had started to figure it out, how hard you have to play, and the intensity at this level. I think that was, one, we didn't have practice, and he was a contact trace twice. He missed, I don't know how many days, and he just, he was behind. There's no doubt he was, and I would have probably redshirted him if it was a regular year. But he was starting to make some progress, and then we had the injury, and so it's it's sad for him. But we just, like a lot of anyone that gets hurt, we always say use this as a opportunity to get better at something and make a negative into a positive. And we talked about Cartier having the knee injury when he was a freshman, going from 42-inch vertical to 45. I mean, a lot can happen. There's been a lot of people with these knee injuries that have come back. And so we're just wish the best for him. And it's going to be a long 6-7 months for him, but we got to be there to help and support and hope that he continues to make the progress and takes the steps to be ready a year from now.
And then last thing on that, just prior to this surgery, what did you and the coaching staff kind of told him about what you thought his role would be this season?
I think it was still up in the air, but do we have him as give us that athletic big guy that a little different than some of the other guys we have? I think that was the thing we were looking for him. He obviously explosive jumper, runner, just elite athlete. And so as a big guy, could he give us that at the 5 and maybe the 4? So that's what we were kind of looking at.
Thank you, Bruce. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Another question for Kellis Robinette.
Follow up on that, Bruce. Is it a torn ACL on Siri?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to ask that. And what's it like to coach Mike again, being around a guy that long?
It's a pleasure, to be honest. And I, he's sent some text messages, I think he's just happy because he went through some doubt. There's a lot of guys that left programs that have been there. I think he felt I know we had the backing of his parents. We had the backing of his high school coach. They wanted him to stay. They thought it was the best thing for him. Just for him to do that, I think it's great. And I just want him to have success and reach some of his dreams and goals. And he wants to leave here on a positive note. Being part of a special team and being the leader. And I hope he gets to where he wants to go.
Thanks, Bruce.
Coach, I appreciate your time. I think that's all the questions we have. I appreciate it as always.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
I was just going to add one thing. Scott had asked about the leadership. And one of the things the program did was beforehand, they asked the coaches who's going to step out first. And ironically, we told them, we said, we named a couple people, but we also told them that we would have like 6 or 7 guys could possibly be the first beat of volunteers. And first person that jumped out was Ish to go out there and try to lead. And then, Mike did, and then Marquise did, so we had a bunch of guys step up to the plate, and hopefully we have a good first line of leaders and a good second line of leaders. And it helps us have a special season.